Well, good afternoon, everybody, or morning if you're coming to us from UK and Europe. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are convening this meeting today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And offer a very warm welcome to you, members, and our special guests, and in particular our presenters today. What I'm going to start out by doing is just going through a little bit of housekeeping. If I could just ask everybody to turn their cameras off and to also put themselves on mute, and I will invite the speakers as it is their turn to come back onto camera and turn off mute, obviously. But if everybody else could remain on mute, that would be awesome. Thank you. I thought it might be useful to start with a little bit of, how this RegTech Edge No Borders program started. And it started a couple of years ago when we sought to develop a platform to really help buyers and sellers come together in a more cohesive way and surface the opportunity of RegTech. And so we designed this to showcase the RegTech solutions that are addressing what are global challenges in a very complex compliance and regulatory environment that we're living within. And so today we're going to be focused on some risk areas that are part of our global taxonomy. And they include information security, process and data protection risks. And programs like we're running today are absolutely critical in educating people and uncovering these opportunities, as well as being able to bring the buyers and sellers together, but as well to invite government and regulators to come along and observe. And what I'm seeing out there in the industry at the moment is a lot of banks really getting mobilised around RegTech. And in fact, there was one instance this week where there was an announcement of a global finance challenge being run by one of the Australian banks and 3 of their global counterparts. And collaborations like this are really, really important and a surefire sign that people really are taking RegTech very seriously. Next week, we will be launching our annual research report, which has been named the Industry Perspectives Report. And so when that drops into your inbox or you see it on social media next week, my call out to you is please share that with your networks, because together we can send a very, very clear message that RegTech is open for business and it is certainly thriving right now. And in order to underline that, I just wanted to share a couple of the key insights that have come out of that research. And the first of those are that institutions are sending some clear signals. And one of those is favouring a buy rather than build, which is quite significant from where we came from a few years ago. The top 3 motivations from institutions are around, and that's to adopt RegTech, are around regulatory pressure, the increase in their internal costs, and also the natural digital transformations that are happening within their institutions right now. We, on behalf of the industry, we have also seen a marked shift of inbound capital, as well as the time to value reducing. And by that I mean when a RegTech vendor approaches an institution, from the time of that first conversation to an actual deployment, the amount of time that's taking has actually collapsed significantly. And so what this is telling us is that we are getting some great solutions into the market even faster. And we hope that programs like today are helping that along. So thank you very much for being here to support us. Out of 150 odd registrations that we took for today, there are 11 countries on the line, and a third of those are buyers. So a couple of housekeeping things before we get underway. Everyone on the line, I want you to use the chat function to ask questions. This is the best way that you can get involved. So we won't do any verbalised questions. They will all come over the chat. If I can ask everybody to remain on mute and off camera, except for those that are presenting, I'm going to invite each of the presenters to come to the virtual stage. They will turn on their cameras, they will turn on their mics, and Hong will be in the background turning the slides for them. They will go through their 5-minute presentation. And at the 4-minute mark, I borrowed this from my son. I'm going to make that sound, and at 4 minutes, it's your time to start wrapping up, and I will need to cut you off at 5 minutes because what's really important is that we give everybody equal opportunity. We're going to try something a little bit different today. Rather than me curating verbal questions, which tend to take up a long time, and sometimes it's hard to get to the nub of what people are actually asking, we're going to actually encourage you to put your questions onto the chat. But 2 things I'd ask you. Please say who you are and where you're from, because that actually helps some context around the question. And then please let us know who your question is directed to. And once the presenter is finished their presentation, they'll dive straight online and go and answer the questions. If you want to be connected with any of the presenters today and you prefer not to do that over the chat, that's perfectly fine. Just get in touch with us separately and we'll happily connect you up with them. So I think that that's all, and I believe, and I should also say we've got some polls that we're going to do throughout proceedings, and one of them is there now. It would be really great if you are a RegTech on the line, we would love for you to complete that information. And then at the conclusion, towards the end of the program, we'll put another poll up there, which is just in relation to the satisfaction of the overall event and whether that delivered what you had hoped. So without further ado, I am now delighted to ask our good friend Evan Wong, who's well known to many of you and to us at the RegTech Association, from Checkbox, to turn on his mic and turn on his camera. And if I could just ask everyone else to turn off their cameras for now, that'd be great. So the only person we should be able to see is myself and Evan, and I'm going to turn myself off in a second too. Thanks very much. Okay, Evan, over to you. Can we hear you?
Hopefully, can you hear me?
All good, all good. When you are ready, your 4 minutes starts, and I'll start my little iPhone here.
Thank you so much, Deb. Pleasure to be here. Great. So, hey everyone, my name is Evan Wong. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Checkbox. Our goal is to empower anyone to build software. And the way we're doing that is we have a no-code workflow automation platform. Now, to really understand that, we need to first look at the kind of problems that we're solving. So in terms of the, sorry, Hong, if you can just switch the screen, thank you, brilliant. So if you think about a lot of the compliance work that happens within organizations, it happens in very manual ways, in all of the different, static kind of manual formats that you see here. Now that's really challenging because not only you're now trying to build the right controls for the organization, but you're also trying to operationalize them across the organization in a way that people can understand without having to actually go back to the centralized knowledge function that is risk and compliance. And so what do some of these organizations do? Well, let me give you a story from one of our customers. So we spoke with a customer and they went to their IT team, obviously trying to take some of their cloud migration, their assessment type use cases to the IT team. And it took them 12 months to actually develop a solution after communicating all of the sort of requirements that they needed. Long and behold, because the IT team isn't part of the compliance team, they got some things wrong and they needed some iterations. So they ended up back in the IT queue. 9 more months they were told that they had to wait before they could make the change to the solution. In the end, it was never delivered. So they came across Checkbox, a drag and drop platform where they could build their own workflows, build their own controls and processes and digitize compliance for the business. What previously was 12 months to build, they didn't just build it, they went live with the application in a single month. What took 9 months before they could get to the front of the IT queue again took 0 months because now they had the power of development in their own hands. And what was never delivered, they didn't just deliver the one use case, they actually delivered 8 applications in just the first 6 months of bringing on Checkbox. So let me look at some of the applications that they built. So here's one example, notifiable data breach. Rather than going to a spreadsheet or phone calls with the compliance team, you're able to go through this centralized digital portal, a really nice start screen. These applications allow you to capture information via smart forms. You can see on the right-hand side, you can build in guidance tools as well with links out to further resources if you need it. And it captures all these information, things like, was the information actually encrypted? And if so, you can see that there's a dynamic nature in the forms where depending on what you select, further questions and controls are surfaced up. The applications also help you do calculations, whether that's numeric, financial here, and even calculate risk. So you can see at the bottom right corner of that table there, it says the financial risk is high. If the numbers were anything different in the number of records, that can be anything between low and medium or extreme as well. And you can see that after all of the different questions are collected, it comes up with an automated risk score. In this case, it's a medium risk. It comes with audit trails that allows you to track all of the questions asked and the responses provided, and even automated emails that allow you to, notify and escalate certain workflows. And you can see there's approval and reject, actions that can be done right from email as well for busy people like the Chief Compliance Officer. At the very end, you even get completely bespoke documents or reports that are generated. So what you see here are screenshots taken from the outputs of Checkbox. You can create these beautiful reports. It's all custom. You can see on the right-hand side, the overall risk is a medium, but the financial risk is high. And it even populates all these dynamic tables as well. And people love dashboards. So we're able to track all of the different transactions, all the risk. You can see in the table below, there's measures of breach and no breach, and there's also the different risk levels measured as well. And you can have trends over time. So you get that macro view of all of the applications you deploy in your business. But the key thing to remember is that everything you've just seen is built using a no-code drag and drop system. No coding was needed whatsoever. And the example of the data breach is really just one use case of hundreds of different use cases that you can solve in just the risk and compliance space alone. We've seen QA audits, claims audits. We've seen, migration assessments, new vendor assessments, many different applications that can be built. And that's why we have all these customers that love us and trust us, from your big financial institutions to super funds to insurance companies and many other industries as well in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the US. So finally, I'll leave you with this quote. It's a GM at Hester Superfund, Jordan. She said, "We found the Checkbox platform far better than the alternative because of the usability and the speed. It's intuitive to use and you can change things in a matter of seconds. Checkbox is really quite limitless." And with that, if that was interesting to you, get in touch. There are my contact details, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Evan. So if there are any questions for Evan, please pop those in the chat. And now that he's finished, he can go online and answer any questions that you have. Thank you. And thank you for staying on time, because we learned from the master here how to keep these pitch events on time. Thank you to Evan. Thank you very much, Evan. Okay, so we are now going to move on to our next presenter, who is Jackie from Deco Secure. Jackie, whenever you're ready, we can get underway.
Great, fantastic. Thanks, Deborah, and welcome everybody. It's great to be here today. My name is Jackie Nelson. I'm the CEO of Deco Secure, and Deco is a company that's committed to helping organisations from SMB to large organisations, including many government departments, eliminate the risks associated with sharing and collaborating on sensitive information. I'll just do my finger if that's okay, Hong. Thank you. So Deco is an Australian cybersecurity company. We build state-of-the-art military-grade security software that is easy to use and easy to deploy. Our technology is secure by design, and things like zero knowledge and data sovereignty are key and compelling messages, especially for companies concerned about online security. So there's a well-known truism in cybersecurity circles that I'm sure many of you have heard of, and that is that there are actually only two types of organisations in the world today: those that have been breached and those that don't yet know that they've been breached. And while this might sound a little dramatic, the harsh reality is the reports of consistent and aggressive attacks by bad actors, individuals and nation states actually means this is a whole lot more accurate than many of us would like to believe. So global regulations, we all know, are coming thick and fast, and organisations have to comply with a complex and changing compliance landscape in a bid to overcome some of these cyber warfare challenges that we all face. We know that cybercrime is up 600% in the last year alone. breaches and ransomware attacks in particular are at epidemic proportions. And of course, the result to organisations is huge in terms of brand reputation damage, employee safety, and huge financial loss to organisations. So how do these attacks happen? Well, hackers and attackers actually attack an organisation and steal unencrypted data, and this happens all the time in the case of a ransomware attack, via vulnerabilities in tools that organisations use every day. So the popular tools that we're all used to using present a huge risk to companies of all shapes and sizes. Sophisticated attackers find vulnerabilities in these tools. This is how they steal and exploit our most valuable and confidential data. Thanks, Tom. So the Deco platform delivers military-grade security in an easy-to-deploy and easy-to-use platform and stops an organisation's data being stolen. It enables organisations who have previously had to rely on cumbersome and inefficient manual processes to manage these highly sensitive workflows in a secure digital environment now. Sorry. Everything that happens on the Deco platform is end-to-end encrypted. So this guarantees that your data is secure at rest, at work, and in transit. And unlike many of our competitors, Deco provides true military-grade protection that helps guard us today against real-world risk. So whilst we deliver the core of our security via our military-grade, leading-edge end-to-end encryption technology, it's actually not the only thing that matters in the information security value chain. Delivering true security to an organisation is a very complex process. And unlike our competitors, we deliver on all levels, and we make using our technology very easy, easy to use, easy to deploy, and easy to manage. A lot of other technologies in the marketplace need to integrate. Deco is designed to be a holistic end-to-end solution for clients and eliminates the need for expensive and complex integrations. So it's no accident.
1 minute to go.
Oh, it's no accident that we work with some of the most security conscious organisations, such as government and law enforcement agencies, and we take our security claims very seriously. The platform is a combination of 5 really powerful tools, and I'm just going to end by taking you through use cases super quickly because I'm out of time. But one of the ones, sorry, Hong, next one. Okay, let's go straight to the Barrenjoey one. That's fine. No, go, yeah, Barrenjoey. So an example of Deco at Work is actually helping organisations be able to secure and collaborate securely. For organisations like Barrenjoey that need to share market-sensitive acquisition and deal flow information with multiple internal, external stakeholders, things like visibility control, unlimited file size, structure, along with really comprehensive auditability, are key to the successful management of really highly critically sensitive information. So in a nutshell, Deco actually helps us reduce risk, it increases productivity, and it guarantees security, visibility, and auditability when you're sharing online. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jackie. Right on time. Well done. So if anybody would like to ask Jackie any questions, please pop those on the chat and Jackie will answer those directly. And just in case anybody is wondering, we will, anybody that requests it, we'll connect the parties after the event. If you prefer not to put your emails on the chat, that's fine. Thank you very much, Jackie.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now going to invite Eversoft to the virtual podium. Stephen?
Great. All right. Thanks,
There we are. Thank you. So whenever you're ready to start, we can get going.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just shoot into it. So I've only got a few slides. It won't be slide heavy. I'll get really direct to the point here. So let me introduce myself. I'm Stephen Lee. I'm the Vice President for Asia Pacific for Eversoft. We're actually a US-based company. So we've got offices in California, Europe, and we're headquartered out of Singapore, but we have a team as well based out of Sydney and Melbourne that looks after our business there. Essentially what we do is we're an intelligent document processing platform. But to provide a bit more context to that, I'll address that in the next couple of slides. Okay, Deb, just the next one. So the problem itself is obviously very broad and wide spanning. When we're talking about compliance and regulatory issues, and everyone in this call is aware of some of these. The majority of the problem we're solving is related to people that are dealing with manual processes, a lot of paper, a lot of archive records, complex processes, information that's hard to find and hard to locate, long audit cycles, and also using a raft of existing digital transformation applications that they're not seeing ROI on, scalability on. So that's where we really come to the picture. In terms of on the right there, you see the costs related to not fixing these problems and letting them sort of manifest is you see people costs, lots of manual errors, high turnover, and people not focusing on what they're good at in regards to sort of innovation and dealing with customers because they're too stuck doing manually heavy processes. Fines, obviously, we've seen some really clear examples of this just in the last few years of people not taking care of their documentation, their data, and how they handle customer data. And along with that comes reputational cost and also longer audit times is another thing. Whenever you get one of the large audit firms to come into your organization, it can take 6 to 12 months. One thing we want to do with our solution is address that and make it shorter. Yeah, next slide. Okay, so what we're doing, so I kind of addressed the problem there in a nutshell and all the various different things that make up that problem. But what we provide, and I mentioned earlier, is an intelligent OCR ICR solution. But firstly, just talking on the top left there, you see the cycle itself. So digital transformation is not new. There's a lot of people in the market that already have analytics tools, which are crucial. Everyone loves analytics tools. Everyone needs an ERP and a document management system. And in the last probably 2 years, the buzzword right now has been around RPA, like robotic process automation, or BPM, business process management, and workflow solutions. But the missing piece to this, which I've highlighted there, is that intelligent capture piece. And that's where we really come into the picture. It's not fair to say OCR, ICR is new. OCR is a technology that's been around a long time. But the component that's really been missing and really takes the other solutions downstream and really optimizes the value there is to add that intelligent piece. And if you look to the right there, that's what we do. So aside from the first step, which is purely just the digitization of data and OCR, ICR, then the next 2 steps are really crucial in regards to automating how you categorize and classify your data and how you extract the key data as well. So when we talk about that, you see we can cover a raft of different use cases, but if we're relating specifically to government across the globe, not just in APAC, we've done multiple projects around records management, back scanning projects, and more specifically redacting, sensitive data, extracting handwriting, which has always been a challenge for OCR, ICR solutions. And the key thing is just classification. How are we sorting out mailroom problems? How are we sorting out, again, records that are sitting in boxes, they're sitting in warehouses, costing a lot of money and causing compliance issues. You can see cost to implement our solution when you're talking licenses, services, comes well under $1 million. But you saw on the previous slide, but you saw the cost of not doing this on the previous slide. Okay, and then the last slide. Thanks, Deb. Yeah, and then so I talked about records management, mailroom, fraud detection, these types of things. But the beauty of what we do is we're a platform. So we're not a use case specific capture solution. So once our customers, and you can see just a few of the names on the right there, and I chose those to really talk about the breadth of our solution because they're all different industries. You've got, audit companies, financial services companies, retail. Essentially, again, we're only dealing with the problem of paper and data. So a few of our customers have started by automating their mailroom. Instead of having people sort and categorize data, they use our solution to automate it. They started seeing the ability to scale that into other areas, like how do they automate their tax process? Or how do they look at things like automating their bank and financial statements or onboarding new customers, or even case management, expense claims. How do you handle all the receipts and hotel invoices, flight itineraries, and automate that whole process and make it clean and easy. I think that pretty much takes me on time, right, Deb?
It does indeed. Thank
I'll
you
wrap
very
it
much
up
for
there.
that. Yeah, great stuff. So had you finished?
Yeah, I had, yeah. So I just want to wrap up
Okay,
again.
great.
We're just a smart OCR tool. And if you could just skip back to the first slide, my contact details are there. So anyone who wants to have a deeper conversation, happy to
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks, Stephen. And I invite you to answer any questions that come along on the chat as well. Interestingly enough, just looking at your solution, I was actually having a conversation today with a clinical scientist who is absolutely struggling at the inability to get onto sites, and there's no trust about sharing sensitive information and things of that nature. And I said, goodness me, you should come along to this event today. There's going to be some things that I think are going to be able to solve some real problems, in the clinical trials area and, in the pharma industry. Anyway, so just thought I'd add that. So there's lots of potential there for sure. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks, Deb.
Okay, we're going to move along to Jessie from Frisk. Are you with us, Jessie? There we are. We just can't hear you.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry,
there we go. All
the
good. I'm ready when you are.
Excellent. No worries.
Okay, all good.
All right.
Let's go.
So hi, everyone. Jesse Bugden, Chief Product Officer at Frisk. I'm here to talk to you about how we can help reduce process risk. So let's jump straight into the agenda on the next slide. All right. So I'll talk through the overall challenges that organizations face and then the difficulty that staff have where processes require data-driven decision making. I'll outline how frequently the process depends upon consistent application of organisational knowledge, but that knowledge is siloed across multiple teams, but also across different data repositories. Then we can explore the way that Frisk connects the dots and delivers intelligent insights, and then walk through a case study to understand the cost savings. So let's jump into the next slide. So process risk is a measure of the inefficiencies and failures in business processes that can impact customers, reputation, and the operating costs of your business. Often, business processes evolve to suit constraints in technology as well as personnel. As staff change, knowledge transfer lags behind, etc. Also, staff develop shortcuts, right? Checking just the main systems that are responsive or easy to use, or ignoring data from disparate or legacy systems. Processes across teams are especially affected by data silos, where different teams often end up using different data as their source of truth. Even with access to all of the data, reading through it is time-consuming. A single view of customer solutions help, but they often ignore the information embodied in free text, the documents, emails, and faxes, or the notes and call transcripts. Teams have to compromise between spending extra time or risk making the wrong decision if they miss important details. Let's go on to the next slide to look at how Frisk connects the data and helps staff make sense of it efficiently. So Frisk connects to the data repositories and fuses together the structured and unstructured data in a high-performance searchable index. Real-time updates flow through and they're augmented by AI, knitting the data together into searchable records. The user interface then delivers prioritized insights, plus a range of analytical options, like automated analysis across the joined data to identify patterns or fuzzy matching to suggest related unknown unknowns. Self-service and automation are key in reducing process risk, empowering staff to focus on the most important human parts of the process. Let's review that on the next slide before going on to the case study. So cutting through data silos and applying automation leads to improvements across the board. Frisk's API is able to feed data to automated processes, whilst the self-service user interface provides consistency and efficiency in data-driven decision-making in human processes. Let's go straight to the case study now and talk through an example of Frisk augmented processes at scale. So an enterprise client approached Frisk with a process problem in their Siebel-based customer relationship handling. Their process involved data in multiple databases and in a separate document library. The search at the time wasn't including all of the relevant data, and finding similar examples to help staff was quite slow and limited. Frisk's first challenge was to solve that. Now, we've been working with this client for 6 years, expanding the included data to over 50 disparate sources, indexing and augmenting over 1 billion free text documents, with daily updates frequently in the millions of records. Frisk doesn't let you down, and that's the motto which has seen this client continue to bring forward new challenges to enhance data democratization across the organization. AI tags certain types of
1 minute.
Improved filtering. Words and phrases are analysed in the context of indexed content to make intelligent suggestions. Patterns and connections in result sets are surfaced through self-service analytical reports. And just to give you an idea, in the initial implementation alone, the detailed reporting showed cost savings of $4 million per year, and we've done a lot of work since then. So let's move to the last slide and just sum it all up. So process risk is a broad problem in organisations, and it has deep impacts on all aspects of the business. Frisk predict that companies will continue to evolve, taking advantage of automation and AI to replace some human processes and augment others. Either way, we recommend automating the connection to disparate data sources without ignoring free text or legacy systems. Delivering insights through automated processes to staff through self-service and automation through software integration empowers the organisation and reduces a range of inefficiencies and risks. Thanks for your time. I'll be watching the chat for any questions, and I forgot to put my contact details on the slides, so I'll chuck them in the chat channel too.
Oh, great work. Thank you very much, Jesse. I really appreciate that. And I think you're making a very important point there that I talk about a lot, and that is, empowering teams of people with great tools to surface risks earlier and to actually run a better and more profitable business. So that was fantastic. Thank you. Please pop your questions for Jesse on the chat. Thanks. We are now going to move along to ProvenDB, and I think it's Guy who's going to do the presentation. Yes, that's right. Welcome, Guy. Can we see you on the camera? There we are. I am ready to go when you are.
Okay, great. Thanks, Deborah. Hi, everyone. I'm Guy Harrison. I'm CTO and co-founder at ProvenDB. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about ProvenDB. I'm going to try this magic hand signal thing and see if it actually works. Next slide. Okay, thank you. At ProvenDB, we deliver data storage solutions that engineer trust into your information systems. Our solutions allow you to prove the origin, integrity and ownership of your data and to prevent tampering or falsification of information. Next slide, please. So we all know that the lack of integrity in digital information is rife in society, and you can just see this in the news, highlighting document forgeries, data falsification, and it occurs in the private sector, politics, and in public life. We're in an era of declining trust in information with false news and deep fakes. And this decline is substantially due to the ease at which you can copy and fabricate and falsify digital information and leaving no forensic traces. It's an issue that spans many verticals and sectors, and in particular financial services and governments. Next slide, please. It's also an issue in the cybersecurity context. The vulnerability of digital information, in that vulnerability, we focus mainly on information theft, but information manipulation is also a serious concern. If you like, ransomware is probably the grossest type of tampering you can imagine, where someone comes and just removes all your data. But other tampering often falls under the radar. I think one of the previous speakers mentioned that there's either people who have been attacked or who don't know they've been attacked. And I think that's true with tampering. We underestimate how much there is. In one of the most famous banking cybercrimes, attackers compromised the computers of database administrators and then used those credentials to manipulate databases and siphon funds. After the attack, there was no trace and the banks weren't even sure how much money had been stolen. The lesson there is that insiders have the ability to manipulate databases with impunity, and even if you trust those insiders, their accounts can be compromised. So next slide. It's because of these limitations that we've tried to develop ProvenDB, a database that can actually be trusted. So to give you a bit of historical context on the next slide, we've been storing information for thousands of years in various formats. But in our own lifetime, we've moved to almost exclusively digital formats. And while these disk drives have become better and faster, we're still left with the problem that anything written to a disk drive can be overwritten without leaving a trace. Next slide, please. Now, you often hear that blockchain might be the solution to this. It's tamper-proof, that's true, and anything you write there can't be overwritten. But as we see on the next slide, blockchains just don't have the capabilities to build applications on. They're too slow, they're too expensive, they don't have enough storage. So next slide. We developed ProvenDB as a sort of a bridge between blockchain technology and database technology. So we have three core features here. The core is the ProvenDB database service, a MongoDB compatible database in which all the data is kept, changes are recorded, and digital signatures for everything is stored on the blockchain of your choice, either a private blockchain or a public blockchain like Ethereum or Hedera or Bitcoin. And on top of this, we've built an easy to use document service that can be integrated into your applications and can be used to store PDFs and business documents in a very easy to use way. And we've also developed SDKs that allow you to hook into these services from external data sources. So if your data is in Oracle or something like that, we can create proofs for that data as well. And you can use those proofs, as with everything in ProvenDB, to prove the origin date, the ownership and integrity of your information. So on the next slide, I've just got one quick case study. Our partner Argo Logic has built this into their Salesforce solution, and customers of Argo Logic, such as 8cap and Blueberry, exchange documents in a completely trustworthy fashion, securing the knowledge that ProvenDB can prove the integrity, ownership, and provenance of all of that information. And final slide, we've got engagements in progress across a range of domains, including finance, defence, healthcare, trading and cryptocurrency. And we're looking for partners and customers who want to leverage our frameworks to engineer trust into their organisation or to their solutions. Thanks very much. I believe I've got 5 seconds to go, so I'll just give you that 5 seconds back. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Guy. We love it. We love it. In fact, I was probably a bit slow on my timer here, so you were probably more accurate than me. Well done. Thank you.
I was a bit worried, but did I send you to sleep? I don't know.
No, it was actually good. I like the bit of a walk down memory lane. That was actually really good. And you've already got a question on the chat that you can go and address now while we bring our next speaker up. Thank you. It's our colleague Martin from Stone and Chalk. Martin from Vertex Cybersecurity is one of the co-residents that we have at Stone and Chalk in Sydney, and we haven't seen each other for many, many months, obviously being in this lockdown. So it's good to see you, Martin. And
it's good to see you too, Deborah.
So when you're ready to start, I'm ready to press the button.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off. So I'm Martin from Vertex. I'm Martin from Vertex Cybersecurity, and we do cybersecurity. We're a company it's been around for about 5 years. We do a whole range of stuff: pen testing, cyber training, phishing. My background used to be executive manager of cybersecurity at Commonwealth Bank and a whole bunch of other really interesting stuff. But with time, we'll keep moving. And let me talk to you a little bit about our clients. So we don't need to, we work with lots of clients, heaps of companies. We're helping them with cybersecurity. Lots of great stuff there. We'll keep moving. So what I want to talk to you, obviously, cybersecurity, it's important. It's an issue, it's happening. It's breaching companies with good security, bad security, and lots. And so obviously, it's an issue you need to take seriously. It's very important. We've got companies from big to Apple, to Slack, to Uber, to MySpace, to Yahoo, to NASDAQ, and the list goes on and on and on. And even if we go on to Australia, we've got lots of companies within Australia that have also been breached. So this is not just limited to the US. This is everywhere worldwide. And to be honest, we work with lots of companies. And interestingly, a lot of them call us after it's happened. We prefer to talk to them before, but that's usually when we get engaged. But the good news is we learn from that. We learn a huge amount from that. And we've built a whole bunch of really cool stuff out, which I want to talk to you about. So next slide. So the first thing is what is the #1 attack method that hackers commonly use to gain access consistently again and again? I'll give you a 1-second pause to have a think about it. And we'll jump to the next slide, that's all right. Which is 91% of cyber attacks start with a phishing email. So the obvious thing is, and if I had your cameras, I'd ask you all to put your hand up if you've seen a phishing email, and I'm pretty sure all your hands would go up. And that's because they are doing it and doing it everywhere. And they're actually very successful. But you have to think, with that many phishing emails going out there, you know, what should we do about it? And so I'm going to focus on 2 different ways that we solve it. And the first is the people side. And the people side is how do we make sure people are making the right decisions? Because when you get a phishing email, everyone has a choice of what to do, whether it's right or wrong. And at the end of the day, what is going to help someone make the right or wrong decision is education. And in short, employees can't be expected to take the right action if they haven't had training. The other way to think about it is, could you if you don't have cybersecurity training, then if you've had cybersecurity training, then there's a chance you'll make the right decision. And if you haven't had cybersecurity training, then the likelihood of you making the right decision is even lower, is very low. And so we have our own education platform specifically designed for this. We built it from scratch because we found compliance training, which is out there, is just lacking. It is not good enough for the current phishing attacks that we're seeing, and so we've built our own, which is really, really good. And look, it's not much money at all. It's about $5 ex-GST per person per month. We'll keep moving though, because phishing is a big problem, and it doesn't all stop with just training people, because people get tired, people get busy, people get exhausted, they make mistakes, and that's partly why 27% of people actually click on and potentially get compromised by phishing email links. So if you think of that 27%, that's essentially, you know, one in 4 will actually be compromised, and to be honest, a lot of the times, and like I said, is we deal with lots of incidents, and we see that the issue comes down is just people are people and they make mistakes. So you have to help them. So we realized we also needed a technology solution to this problem. And the technology solution is, how do you help someone when they see this page, and this is a real phishing page, by the way.
1 minute.
How do you help them make the right decision? And so the short answer is, we built a product called XSurfLog, and you can see it there. We've got one side what a user sees without XSurfLog. This is using Chrome, this is using Firefox. None of them pick it up, none of them detect it. They get the page, and it's left to the user to make the decision. On the right, you can see XSurfLog has picked it up and blocked it. So in short, I'll talk to you a little bit about XSurfLog, but XSurfLog was built on the idea that you want a cybersecurity expert on your shoulder to help you look at every page you click. The problem is that's very expensive, so we built it into a product, hence XSurfLog. So on that note, it works for all your browsers. It hooks in, it's plug-in, but it can be rolled out as an actual application. So it actually is installed on all your employees, and you make sure, and it essentially managed, you can logs all the users' website, it protects them all, it has AI, it also includes a DLP to help protect, understand where your pages are going, and allows you to do the complete circle. So if someone is getting a phishing link, you can make sure that it's in the system, it's blocked, but then you can also search in the system to make sure no one's clicked on it. So now you can actually know you're not at risk of phishing versus hoping and praying people have done the right thing. And it's the combination of the two that we're recommending for all companies. And with that, I will leave you, hopefully the next slide is, think about that next click your employees are taking, and how you're keeping them safe from phishing, and my contact details if you want to talk to us about how we do this and where we're doing this.
Thanks very much, Martin. That was great. If anybody's got any questions for Martin, if you could pop them in the chat, and he can address those for you. Well, that was the full suite of our presentations today, but I think, you know, they touched on some really important things, and I circle back to that thing about enabling your team with tools that can actually help them manage risks and help enable a more robust and safe business. And I know somebody talked about declining trust. I think it might have been Guy that talked about declining trust. And I think, the package of these solutions as a community of RegTechs can address the erosion of that trust. So I want to thank all of our presenters today. Thank you so much for being here with us. I will stay on the line until 5:30. So if anybody wants to stay on the line for a chat, and obviously anybody that still has some questions to ask, please pop those in. There's another little poll on there about your level of satisfaction. And I want to thank all of the presenters very much, and also just flag a couple of things to watch out for that we have on our calendar. First one is next week, we will be launching our industry research that I alluded to earlier. Please come along to that session if you are a member on the 2nd of September. Then we've got a range of other programs to help organisations around legal risks, how to embed a sales function within your organisation. We also have an event planned around ESG. We've got regulation compliance coming up on another RegTech Edge. We've got another AML CTF on a RegTech Edge, and also a conduct and culture on RegTech Edge as well. We will have our AGM on the 30th of November at the end of this year. I'm so sorry we will not be able to do a face-to-face event, which is very regrettable. So we intend to run an online event and do our RegTech Awards at that time. So I guess I will call an official close to proceedings, but what I will do is I will stay on the line if people want to stay on the line and have a little bit of a chat, or there are still some questions that you'd like directed, we can stay on for that. So thank you very much, and thanks to Hong for all of his hard work in moving those slides, and especially to all our presenters. Thank you very much.